What's up, everybody? It's episode 6 of the Burly Nathan Show. I am your host and MC, Burly Nathan. If it wasn't obvious already, it should be more obvious now that that's who I am. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoy what you listen to, or even if you don't, subscribe. Hit that like button and that bell icon to be notified anytime a new show comes out. We are on every podcast platform you can think of: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, if I already said that. I don't know if I did. All the places you can listen to podcasts, our show is there. Follow us, subscribe, leave a review. We've gotten quite a few reviews so far, which is awesome. A lot of 5 stars, which is really cool. So do that, follow along, and let us know what you think of the show. If there's somebody that you would like to listen to on the show or a guest that you think I should interview, follow me online on Instagram or TikTok at Burly Nathan, B-U-R-L-Y, Nathan. And you can find me there and give me your suggestions of people that you think would be a great fit for this show. Also, just want to give a great shout out to our sponsors, adamandeve.com. Adam and Eve is an amazing store. I have shopped there for years and years and years for all of my adult needs. If you go to adamandeve.com and you buy whatever you want, if you use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout, you'll get 50% off almost any item in there. You'll get 10 free gifts, which is like 6 free videos, 3 free awesome surprise gifts. I don't know what they are, but that's why they're a surprise. Get those. You'll get discreet shipping, free shipping, all of that just for using the promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. And it will help support the show. It helps pay the bills to keep the podcast flowing and paying my guests. They don't get paid. They don't get paid. They think they do. They're getting paid in exposure. No, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But once again, just follow everywhere you possibly can and stay up to date on our upcoming guests, which I actually can talk about right now. This episode is episode 6. For episodes 7 and 8, we have our guests all lined up. Episode 7 will be with my great pal and the person who got me into the burlesque world, Maven Misbehavin'. She and I had a podcast a long time ago, which you can actually still listen to, and it might be making a resurgence soon. It's called Talkin' Tassels, and it was a burlesque-specific podcast where we would speak to burlesque performers from all over the country and beyond. And she and I hosted that for a long time. We kicked it off like as soon as COVID started, which was wild. But we had a great time with that. We recorded a ton of episodes, so you can go listen to Talkin' Tassels and follow Maven Misbehavin' anywhere online. You'll see what she's up to. And then episode 8 is with my great friend Drew Street. Drew and I have performed together on stage in musical theater for a very long time. He's one of my closest friends, and he's absolutely hysterical. This dude, I have seen him do so many ridiculous things on stage, and he has no shame at all. I've had to be opposite him in Beauty and the Beast. He was LeFou. It was absolutely incredible. I also got to play against him in a musical called Chess, which was a very dramatic show. And he and I will have stories about that in the episode 8. So episode 7, Maven Misbehavin'. Episode 8, we have Drew Street. So just follow along, and we're going to have a lot of different types of guests. I know we've been very theatrical and burlesque and whatnot, but I have some guests lined up that are in all aspects of the arts and in alternative lifestyles and all that sort of stuff. So continue to listen to the show, subscribe to us, and you will get the first dibs on hearing our awesome guests that we have in the studio. So talked about the sponsors, talked about upcoming shows, talked about all the awesome ways that you can subscribe, like, and comment, and review the show. So you know what that means? That means we're going into our interview section of the show, which I'm super excited about. And so this episode is going to be quite interesting. And if you are listening and you know who I am, you will understand this episode. If you do not know who I am, you will soon understand this episode even a bit more. But we're just going to jump into it right away. The guest for our episode today is a phenomenal performer here in the Florida area and beyond. I met her a few years ago, and we're going to talk about how that all came to be. Hello, Debbie Diablo. How's it going?
Hello, Mr. Man. It's going good.
Good. I'm glad that you are here finally, because people are like, when is Debbie going to be on the show?
Really?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Because you know how people are.
Right. I'm actually kind of nervous to be here.
You are, as you're sitting in my office in a blanket,
yes,
talking on a microphone.
Well, I got this social anxiety, so...
Who in the performance world doesn't, really?
Honestly, you got a point. Every performer that I interact with is always suffering from crippling anxiety.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah. Look at the industry that we're in. Are you surprised that anybody is anxious?
True. We're almost literally bearing it all out.
Literally. Okay, so for folks who do not know who you are, tell us about you. What do you do? Who are you? How'd you get started? tell us your life story, Debbie Diablo, on the performance side.
Okay. So my name is Debbie Diablo. I am a burlesque performer, opera singer, and model here in Florida. And if you want to know the story about how I got into burlesque, that is a very interesting and hilarious story.
I do. I want to hear that story.
So the short summary is I love boobs. And
Who doesn't, really? And if they say they don't, they're lying.
And so I did not know what burlesque was at all until my older sister, who is a wonderful performer, told me about it. And they were going to do a burlesque show, actually to be a tribute to our mom.
All right.
Yes. Our mom's name is Eevee. So we were going to do a burlesque show about the Pokemon character Eevee.
All right. Interesting.
Yes. But mom couldn't make it. And so I was like, I don't know what burlesque is, but I love free things, so I'll take the ticket and I'll pull up. And when I came, my gast was flabbered. I was flabbergasted. I was overwhelmed by the amount of talent that I saw on the stage, but also I've never seen this art form before, so it was very exciting for me. I was the loudest person in the audience.
Of course, naturally. Now, was this was in the Orlando area, right?
Yes, this was.
Nice. Very cool. So that got you into it. You saw it. You're like, I got to do this now.
Yes, well, I kept going to all of the burlesque shows in the area because I got obsessed to the point where a couple of the producers just asked me, do you want to just join? You're here all the time.
Now, did they know that you already had, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but did they know that you already had a theatrical background?
No, they did not.
Interesting.
Until they got to know me.
You were just like, I'm interested in it. They're like, come do it. Anybody can.
I was like, that means I get a backstage pass to these beautiful ladies?
Hey, you're not supposed to give our secrets out. That's not how you get backstage. I mean, technically it is. That's awesome. So you saw it. You're like, I got to do it. What was the very first thing you started working on, like when you got into the biz?
Well, my first routine kind of was an accident.
All right.
And I'll preface that by saying that I wasn't supposed to dance in this show. I was only supposed to sing for this show.
Okay.
I'm part of a wonderful troupe by my sister Lottie Flick called Theoretical Rejects. And they like to do really cool shows. Some of them are literary shows, which are very fun, like Shakespeare.
Nice.
This one was a Christmas Carol show, and I was casted to be the ghost of Christmas Past. And because she is typically played as a doll type of character, my sister thought it'd be pretty cool if I sang opera.
Naturally.
As just a little variety act in the middle of the show. But then I couldn't learn my song in time. I decided to pick a very hard song because my dreams are too big for what I'm capable of doing.
Uh-huh.
So then my sister, they asked me, do you just want to dance this song instead of sing it? We could find a recording for you. And I was like, that is so scary, but yes.
Yes. All right. Nice. And how long ago was this?
Oh gosh, that was 2 years ago. We just did a remake of that exact same Christmas Carol show this past Christmas season. So that was 2 years ago.
So in 2 years, you have, and we'll talk about kind of where you are now, but in this 2 years, I've seen you go through everything. I mean, I was there for some of your original shows, and we'll talk about that.
Yes.
But it's interesting to see how quickly you've moved from, oh, I've never done this before, oh, I'm so nervous to dancing, to the things that I've seen you do on stage. What has it been overwhelming going from never doing it to doing it in mass now?
Yes, it was a big adjustment to adjust to performing this often, and going from somebody who had no routines, no costumes, and just having to make new ones at least once a month. It was a little overwhelming to adjust to that sort of schedule style. But once I got the hang of it, things started to get easier. It never feels easy.
Right.
But now I've gotten into the routine that I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my costumes to work during my day job so that I can rhinestone off the clock.
On your breaks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the struggle that we all go through if we are performers on the side and we have day jobs and that sort of thing. Finding the time to carve out to develop new things.
Yes, I was making your costume at work.
Yes, and we can we'll allude to that. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that you started with singing and you wanted to do singing. We will actually tease this now that at the end of the episode, you're going to sing for us.
Ooh.
You're acting like it's a surprise.
I know, I'm trying to
prepare it. Okay. Yes, no. So tune in to the end of this episode, listen all the way through, and there will be a special vocal performance from Debbie Diablo. All right, so I want to dive back a little bit further into the singing stuff. So you said before burlesque and all that, you were training to be a vocalist. Like, tell me your story in the vocal realm.
So, as anybody always says, I've always loved singing ever since I was a child.
Yep.
I wanted to be a Disney princess, but then middle school rolled around and I saw my very first opera, and it is called Tales of Hoffmann.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone knows me, you know that is my absolute favorite. I'm obsessed with it.
Where'd you see that?
Oh, I saw it at Opera Orlando, actually.
Okay, nice.
Yes. Which now I think is called Orlando Opera.
Yeah,
they keep switching it back and
shuffle
forth.
It. Yeah. They're like, we don't know what this is. Oh, it's opera. Got it. Where is it? Orlando. Done. All
exactly.
Right, cool.
Period. And after I saw that, I got obsessed. I have never seen a human being make that sound before. And at first I thought, that's not real. They're faking it.
They're lipping. They're lip
They're
syncing.
absolutely faking it. But once I did my deep dive as somebody who is neurodivergent and gets special interests, that was my newest fixation. And so once I got to high school, I started going to the theater teachers, the voice teachers. I went to a performing arts high school, so we had things like private voice lessons there as well. And I was just asking everybody, teach me everything you know. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. And from then on, I was on the bullet train, learning everything I can.
That's how it goes.
I was asking everybody. I was asking my friends, my teachers, listen to me and tell me what you think. Be honest with me because I want to get better and I want to reach my dreams. And yeah, ever since then, I've been training opera. So that would be since freshman year of high school.
Wow. So just in that amount of time, you've gotten to where you are. So that's awesome. And I love knowing that folks come from like a theatrical background. And I was talking about this with Alistair actually on one of the last episodes, that a lot of theater people and people who did like classical music ended up turning into burlesque performers and people that work in this semi-adult, mostly adult industry. It was never, I mean, obviously you said when you saw burlesque for the first time, you never really expected to go into that sort of business.
Yeah, I mean, I had never even seen the burlesque movie, and I know that's not accurate, but I never even heard the word burlesque before I got that free ticket to that one show.
Mm-hmm.
So
and now you're in lots of shows, which is great to see. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Now I love to ask performers who come in and chat, is there an experience that you've had on stage within this last couple of years that you're doing this that is a standout for you? Like a moment where you're like, I'm in the right place.
Yeah, so there's two. One of them was actually your show.
Aww.
Yeah, whatever. I sang for your circus show, and there are many rests in that song. They're not supposed to be as long as they were, but they were because every time I would have a rest and anytime I paused, the audience would explode in applause between my notes. It felt so magical. I almost wanted to cry, but I was like, it's gonna ruin my voice.
It would have done something to your makeup potentially. And what you should do, guys, go follow my parent company, ND Theatricals, on TikTok and Instagram, or on YouTube actually. And the video of you doing this act is there, and people absolutely loved it. And what's the other one?
The other one was recently I performed at a convention, Anime EY. I do some nerdlesque as well, and it's become one of my staple routines, the Yoshi routine. Anytime I go to conventions now, I am stopped by people and they go, "Are you the Yoshi girl?" Because there's not many Yoshi cosplayers out there, and there's not many Yoshi cosplayers that wear as little as I do.
Yeah, the scantily clad Yoshi.
Yes. So I did this routine for that convention, and after that act, the audience was chanting encore. I got off stage, and they started exploding into encore, encore,
That's how
encore.
you know.
And that's never happened to me before. And sometimes, and I feel like performers of all caliber do this. We're always beating ourselves up every time we finish a routine. I got off stage and I was like, I'll rate that a 5.
Yeah.
But I really had no perception of what it looked like from the audience's point of view, and that just affirmed that, oh, maybe I am doing all right.
Right. Yeah. You need those moments throughout your career. Because, I mean, as performers, we know some are going to be great. Some of the performances we do are going to be awesome. Some of them are, maybe less than what we had hoped.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes you're going to bomb. I've bombed. I'll talk about it on a future episode, I'm sure. But I've had my fair share of bombs. I haven't seen you bomb ever, which is great, and I don't think I ever will. But like
Eventually.
Yeah. It'll be our next show, and you'll be like, "Oh fuck, sorry." No, I'm sure you'll be great. But like, has there ever been a moment during an act or a performance or a show that something has gone wrong, and you had to on the fly fix it? And what did you do?
Yeah, so here's another 2 examples. Most recent, I did It's Britney Bitch burlesque show. Wonderful show. The energy there was amazing.
I heard the MC was hot as fuck.
Yeah, he was alright. I
Yeah,
guess he
he's
was
alright.
kind of funny or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But he didn't sing any Britney songs, so boo.
Listen, I know. What a dick. What a dick. It was me, y'all. It was me. I didn't sing anything. Right. Okay, so what happened? What happened?
I had this top that had a tie off in the front of it. So I did a very loose knot, and the plan was that I was going to untie it and then hand that string to one of the VIPs so that they could pull it off and then undo my top.
Right.
A lot of burlesque performers know that sometimes you pull the wrong string and you're not loosening it. Baby, you're tightening it.
There you go.
And that's exactly what happened. And I thought that I was stuck in it for like 30 seconds. I was feeling so bad about myself. But when I watched the video, it was really 3 seconds that I fiddled with it. And then I realized that it wasn't coming off, and I decided to stretch it and pull it overhead. I had to pivot really last minute.
I was there. I watched you do it, and I was like, I knew immediately, because I can see every subtle movement in your face, and I know when something is not going the way you want it to.
Damn it.
But sorry, oops. But like, you saved really quick, and nobody in the audience, except for the people who are listening now, are gonna know that you had an issue that night.
Yes, now you know my secret. Yeah, I talked to some of my friends who came to see the show, and they were saying, "Wow, you did so good," and I was like, I got stuck," and they were like, "You did?
Yeah.
When?"
Because if you can
Oh,
play
I thought
it
you
off,
meant to do that.
right, like if you can play it off like it's a part of the actual act that you intended for that to happen, then nobody gives a shit. It is.
Yes, I instantly just whoop.
Whip you right off. And what was the other one?
The other one, this is absolutely hilarious, and the people who saw this show are never going to let me live this down. Going back to the most recent Christmas Carol show, I wore new shoes, and you always want to test run your shoes fully before you perform in them, because you never know what certain movements are not going to work with those shoes. These shoes had this kind of bandage look to them, so they were white, but they had like elastic going all the way up the knee, kind of like a mummy kind of vibe.
Sure.
However, these elastics were, I would say, the same material as a bra strap. There was no other material holding me in, so there was zero stability.
Okay.
And during my routine, I felt my ankle wiggle. And I've had an ankle injury quite recently.
Yeah.
So I got very scared, and I knew I had 2 choices. I could either try to stay up and twist my ankle, or I could go down, wipe out, fall on my ass, but at least my ankle would be fine. And I decided, she's going down. She is going down. But then, so I went down, fell on my ass. I did a whole woo as I went down. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to work it out, and I'm going to fuck this stage. I'm just going to do a lot of floor work.
Okay. fuck the stage. That's what you do.
That is
when things go wrong, just fuck the stage.
When things go wrong, when things go right, you know.
There's any condition possible, just fuck the stage.
I love it when I'm doing routines and I hear people go, well, Debbie got the stage pregnant again. Cool.
I think I've literally been one of those people saying that. So yes, I see that. All right. So is there a goal that you have? We're going to talk about the other aspects of your life here in a minute. Is there a goal when it comes to burlesque that you want to do within the next year?
I wouldn't say a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just want to be more confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have goals such as, I want to perform at this place, I want to perform with these people, because my thing is, if it's meant to happen, it will happen, you know. So my own personal goal is to just be more comfortable in myself and not beat myself up so much about my routines, and maybe try to find my inner spark, I guess.
Okay, that's great. What is the... Okay, so I'm going to ask you some rapid-fire questions real quick about burlesque before we move on to other things. If burlesque was in the Olympics, what would be your game? Like, what would be your strength that you would win the gold medal in?
I do a lot of jump splits, so maybe jump splits.
Jump splits? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty good, because that's tough to do.
I always say, pound that pussy into the floor.
Jesus Christ. Folks, if you didn't know this already, we are vulgar on the show, so trigger warning, we will say pussy, we will say fuck, we will say a lot of different things.
Oopsie.
Oops. Okay, describe the weirdest song you've ever performed to. Maybe not necessarily weird to you, but maybe like the audience might go, oh, that was odd.
I guess my first ever burlesque routine was just an opera song that I danced to. It's different when you're singing it.
Right.
But when you're just dancing to an opera track, it's something.
Okay.
I felt like some people were falling asleep a little bit.
It happens. Okay. My final question here is, what is the most interesting prop or costume piece that you've ever integrated into an act?
For my Yoshi routine, I use a pool noodle to be the Yoshi tongue. And the routine starts with the iconic Yoshi sound. So when that happens, I kind of just jab the pool noodle from the side of the stage wherever I'm hiding, and I'm just like...
Okay. All right, that works.
So I think that's hilarious because it's literally a giant tongue.
Delightful.
Eventually, I want to make my own giant Yoshi egg to go with it as well.
You know what would be fucking amazing? Is if you could make one of those, because you're like 2 feet tall. You could be inside of this egg and like just roll on and then explode out of it and boom. Do we have the budget to make that happen? Do we have any financiers who want to make this?
Sponsors?
Yeah, sponsors. Hello. Anybody want to pay for this? All right, cool. So if people want to follow you and follow your burlesque journey, how can they do that?
You can follow me on Instagram, the Debbie Diablo. That is the Debbie Diablo on Instagram, and that is the only social media that I have.
Okay, good. Keeping it centralized, we like that.
Yes.
As opposed to follow my 12 different fucking platforms. All right. So I want to move into another aspect of your life now, because you mentioned at the beginning of the show that you also do modeling. Explain that.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to try modeling since I was young. You know, I grew up watching America's Next Top Model, but I was always told by the people around me that I'm too small. And for people who don't know, I'm 4'11", so they are kind of right. So it did discourage me for a while from trying, but I actually started modeling through burlesque. I met a photographer who shot some of our shows. He is wonderful, and I work with him all the time. And after the show, he came up to me and he asked me if I've ever done modeling before. And I was like, no, but I want to.
My interest has been piqued.
Yes.
Nice.
And I've always loved doing stuff like that, like using the human body as a canvas for art. Like I love doing makeup, like special effects makeup and things like that. So I was so excited to jump right in, and I love making artistic shoots.
Nice.
I've done a blood-covered shoot. I've done like fairy-themed shoots, like very fun stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of how that started.
Now, is that something that you're looking to do, like parallel to burlesque? Are you wanting to do more modeling? Like, what is your thought process there?
I would say parallel. I'm trying to get more into mainstream modeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like for brands. I know that probably I will never be on a runway because of my height, but I can still hold it in my dream board. But yeah, it is.
It's just something that you want to
It's
experiment
something
with
that I
more.
want to do more.
Now, obviously, I know you personally, and I know that you are a advocate, not only in the burlesque world, but in the modeling world for fair pay, for non-predatory things when it comes to photographers, and when it comes to troops and that sort of stuff in general. We're not going to name any names here tonight because I want to keep this podcast as positive as we possibly can. However, I think now, because we have a lot of people who listen to the show who are in the industry, who are outside of the industry, who don't really understand it. And also we have people who are possibly some of these offenders. So what I want to do is I want you to talk about your experiences, because I know you've dealt with some not so great things in this business. And I want people to know that it's not always just sunshines and rainbows and all that sort of stuff. That there is, unfortunately, a dark side to some of these things, and stuff that performers should look out for. Because I know a lot of performers listen to the show. In your experience, tell me a little bit about what's gone on and what you've done to move past it.
So I'll talk about what's happened in modeling first. And there are way too many predatory photographers and quote-unquote managers and agents. And I use quotations because they're not really doing a manager's or agent's job.
Yeah.
Who will try to take advantage of you, especially if you are a younger model or you are an experienced model. They will try to take advantage of that because you don't know as much yet, and they think that you are an easy target. Specifically, what happened to me is I was almost sold for a cheap hookup, basically. I was told that I was going to do a fetish shoot, and then I was going to be paid $900 to do it. Now, we actually talked about this. You were saying, get a contract. Do not do things like this without a contract. So I went to this quote-unquote manager, and I asked for a contract. I said, I don't feel comfortable doing paid work without it, because without it, legally, he does not have to pay me.
Correct.
And this person refused to make anything of the sort, was giving so much pushback on this contract. So I decided to be a little girl boss, and I made my own contract.
Yep.
To basically outline what is going to happen during the shoot so that there are no surprises. They can't spring anything on me that was not in the original agreement.
Yep.
And to guarantee that I am paid a certain amount. I sent this over, and immediately it was, I cannot sign this contract. We cannot pay you that much.
And that's when you know, scam.
Yes.
Or the potential, like, something worse.
Yes, and it was things like, he's my friend, the photographer. He's my friend, so I know that he's going to pay you. But in this world, you cannot
Can't pay on promises and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you
got
cannot go
bills to
based
pay.
off of, he's my buddy, I trust him. Because I don't trust him, I don't know him. And it turned into, he just wanted to help his buddy feel good. It was not about the shoot at all. It was all about getting a pretty girl for his friend for cheap.
Yeah.
So I promptly got out of there.
So, moral of that story for people, get a fucking contract. And if they don't want to
Always.
sign one, out.
Anything that involves pay, whether it's burlesque, whether it's music, whether it's modeling, if money is involved, always have a contract, because if you don't, then whoever hired you can say, they didn't do this work for me, so I don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
Because there's no written form of it. There's no paper trail.
Absolutely. And you have to have that, especially, working in the adult business, in sex work, like that sort of thing. You have to have every dot I cross T. You need to make sure that you have record of everything. Even in performance world, I make sure that everybody knows this is what you're doing. This is how much you're getting paid. Cool. Great. So there's no, like you said, no surprises. You don't want surprises. Now, I know you've dealt with certain things in the performance world too. Want to elaborate a little bit on those?
Yeah. So I was part of a troupe for a while. It was one of the first ones that I joined. And most of the people in this troupe are beginner burlesque performers. And there's a reason for that. It's because the producer in question wants to take advantage of the fact that these performers are inexperienced, and I will not speak on what they experience because that's their own story to tell. But I will say that there was a lot of backhand comments about body size. And I don't consider myself to be like plus size or like skinny, but there were comments no matter what you looked like about any sort of body type. And there were comments about like slut shaming comments.
Yeah.
And I guess it was an assumption that I
got it.
did certain things that I didn't do. So there were a lot of things being said about me, and things like, oh, be careful with that one because she does this, this, and that, which were very untrue. And that's kind of what I experienced. Like I said, there's other performers that have experienced worse that can testify their own story, but I don't like to speak on other people's
Of course,
stories.
naturally. And I mean, unfortunately, this isn't just a isolated to Florida thing. And I know a lot of people in the business, far too many, if anything. No, I'm kidding. But like, it's crazy to see that this sort of thing happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And I understand giving new folks an opportunity to perform. I love doing that. But you still need to be fair to them. You still need to pay them what they are worth and have contractual, discussions and negotiations with everybody, and not just like, oh, this person's new, so I'm going to do the absolute bare minimum. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that was another thing. I would walk out of those gigs with like $50 as my base pay.
Yeah, yikes. And that's, I mean, in this industry, what you consider the industry standard for how much you get paid is very fluid. I have a relatively interesting stance on this, but I'll talk about this in other episodes. But I pay people based on a certain type of metric, a certain, their experience level, how long they've been doing this, what sort of acts that they're doing, how long it's going to take them to put it together, yada, yada. I've had to pay people extra for making additional costume pieces for their show. So like, it's interesting to see people undercut like this and be like, well, you're new, so I can do this. And that's not the case. I've seen some brand new performers, you included, where you were already performing like a professional when you started. So it's like that I'm new shouldn't matter. So yeah. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with that.
Yeah, and I will say on that, always ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions to other performers, other people who are not even involved in certain companies, and what they think, what they've experienced, and cross-reference. Always stay curious, because staying compliant is how you get taken advantage of.
There you go. All right. So there you have it. When you are in this business, and I know Debbie will agree with me on this, you want to get as much transparency as you can out of the producers who work with you. And the troops and the organizations that are putting on these shows, working with venues even too. You want to make sure that your venue, if you're producing a show, is doing things ethically, that they're going to pay you, you're going to pay them, whatever. Just keep the lines of communication going, and things will be fine. Most things in this business can be fixed with some just better communication.
I think most things in life can.
Yeah. Yes, as we know. So we have reached the halfway point of the show, and before we jump into our next segment, once again, I want to talk about AdamandEve.com. AdamandEve.com, one of the best online adult stores ever. They've been around for ages. I've worked with them for years and years on different podcasts. If you go to AdamandEve.com, buy whatever you want. It can be a dildo. It can be a cool costume. I don't know what they have. I do. But go there, you promo code BURLY, BURLY at checkout, and you'll get 50% off any item there. And you'll also get free shipping, 10 free gifts, discreet. It's amazing. If you use the promo code Burley at checkout, it will help support this show and keep it going. So if you like what you hear, go online, go to adamandeve.com, buy something, use promo code Burley, and let me know that you did. And actually, one thing that I've been saying on previous episodes is if you go to adamandeve.com and you buy something with the promo code, take a screenshot of your receipt showing that you used the promo code and shoot it over to me via a DM on Instagram, and I will mention you on the show, and I'll give you an awesome thank you. I'll even write a little tune for you to say thank you for buying something using the Burley promo code. All right, so the next segment that we're going to talk about now, we're going to get a little bit personal now.
Okay.
We're going to get nice and personal. So I met you a while ago. I was another friend in our industry invited me to come see a show, and it was one of your early ones.
I believe it was the third show that I've ever done.
Yeah.
So very baby.
It was a Nerdlesque show, I think, right?
Yes, it was a Pride-themed Nerdlesque show, just variety Nerdlesque, any LGBT character.
Yes, and sometimes what I like to do is, especially in the Orlando area, I like to go see shows, not tell anybody that I'm there, and just go to Scout. And just to go and say, okay, you know, I want to see this show and see who's amazing, you know.
Watch out, guys.
Yeah, yikes. I'm not always in the scouting mood. Like, sometimes I'll go see a show and I'm just there to enjoy it. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to go see some new talent and see what can come of it, because that's where I usually will find breakout stars. And I didn't know you at all, I don't think, at that show. And I think I followed you right afterwards. So I'm like, okay, we got to work together. Mm-hmm. And then we just started talking, and you were in one of my Night of Classic Burlesque shows. So this episode is going to be a little bit truthful on our end. Because as of, what was it? November? September?
October 2nd.
The Debbie Diablo and I are a thing.
Yes.
If you want to call it that.
If you couldn't tell already.
If you couldn't tell already. I know we made it kind of coy at the beginning, like, so tell me about your career. I know everything about you. I know. But like, you know, I've alluded to this in previous episodes, and after I've had some conversations with some family this past week, I've decided that I'm going to be a little bit more open about my personal life and the things that are going on in my personal life. My wife, Taryn, and I have been in the open poly lifestyle since 2015. She'll probably correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 2015. It was the year before we got married. And we had been experimenting with things over the years and meeting new people and trying new things out. And for the longest time, we've been kind of like on the fence about what we wanted to do. And after you and I started talking, I'm like, okay, this might be good. And it's interesting. And I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit and the dynamic that we have, because we worked together first.
Yeah.
And as we were talking, and this is just something that I kind of want to just throw out there, is I have to be careful about this, right? Because I'm a male producer in a female-dominated business.
Yes.
And I mean, people who know who I am, they understand who I am as a person. I have been in dressing rooms with 19 naked women, and they don't give a shit that I'm there. I try to be as not threatening as possible, because I'm not in the burlesque business to try to get laid. Like, that's just not who I am. Nope.
You're just there for the vibes.
I'm there for the vibes, and I love to perform, so that's why I'm there. And I'm like, oh, boobs, phenomenal. Like you said, boobs are great. I just want to be on stage. So
when do we get to see your burlesque debut?
Well, because of you, I've kind of, well, I'm going to say I've done burlesque, but I've gotten down to fucking skivvies. I'm looking at the costume right now.
We'll keep taking baby steps, but go ahead and continue.
I've thought about it recently, because I'm on a weight loss journey and I'm starting to feel better about my body and all of that. And there might be something happening soon.
Ooh.
Winkety wink. Come to the Palladium in September. You never know what you might see. Wink. So we started talking back in October in a more not just professional way. And
actually, it was September.
September. Okay, so you will correct me. Absolutely. you yes. the stereotype of the man not remembering.
I remember because it was around my mom's birthday.
That's right. And we started talking, and we're like, okay, let's hang out. Let's see how our dynamic works and see how everything goes.
Yeah, I would say it's like, okay. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So we've been together now since then, and we are in a polyamorous dating situation. And it's been interesting because we have friends in the business who know, and friends who don't. Now they do. But like, has that been, were there any reservations before we started on your end?
I wouldn't say like reservations. I I was unsure at first if you were into women.
All right. When you told me that story, I was like,
you
fine.
said you've heard this a million times.
Yeah,
but the issue is someone told me that you were just not into women, because I'm gonna expose myself right now.
Yeah.
I was the one who started crushing first.
Okay.
Yeah. After we started talking, I stalked you on Instagram, and I was like, oh, he looks
wild,
nice.
Which is wild to me. And which is crazy. And I want to know who told you. I mean, I think I already do, that I was gay. But like, I guess that's the persona that I have, which is
well,
fine.
they said, I think.
Okay.
They said, because it was so now you're gonna know, because it was on the way to,
of course,
Classic Burlesque Volume 4, that I was like, you know what? I have a crush on Burly Nathan. Like, he could get it. And then
he can get it. Oh,
yeah, I was just being like coy. I was like, ooh, I'm kind of nervous to perform in his show. I hope he likes me. And then they said, oh, I think he's gay. And I was like, oh man, are you serious? And then I decided to stalk you for a second time. And I was like, well, he does wear a lot of rainbows. I said,
as I'm
you're
wearing
wearing
rainbow glasses right now. Oy vey. That's funny. That's great.
And then I found out that you were actually married, and then I was like, oh, okay, so this person lied to me, but he's not available. But then I saw that you were poly, so then I was like, oh, okay, cool.
You see the Jim Carrey meme, so there's still a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's cool. And you know, we had lots of conversations before this whole thing started up. And, you know, hung out and I came to Orlando, and you've been here. Obviously, you're here in our studio in my house now. And it's been going well. And so you brought a game with you.
Yes, I did.
I think we played this the first time we hung out, right?
Yeah, because I'm the type of person where I want to crawl into the darkest corners of your brain. I want to know everything.
Yikes.
So the first time we ever hung out outside of performing, I brought a game called Let's Get Deep, Questions for Couples. I guess I was like manifesting the relationship by bringing this. And I brought it again today because we didn't get through all the cards, so I thought it'd be fun.
We didn't get through all the cards. There's 500 cards in there. Of course we did. Is there?
Give or take.
Give or take.
Yeah.
All right, I think we have time for a few. So let's randomly pick.
We could do one or maybe two from each level.
Okay.
There's the icebreaker. Yes, there's the icebreaker level, the deep level, and the deeper level, which gets into like some dark stuff.
Okay, all right. So let's start with an icebreaker.
Ooh. Who was your first celebrity crush and why?
Oh my God. So with me, I don't know what it is, but I just can't pick one because I don't really.
You love them all too much.
Oh, I love them all, but I don't fantasize about celebrities. If that's weird, like I don't have any celebrity where I'm like, ooh, I don't, because I'm more of a realist. Like I don't want to get invested in something that I know I have fucking no chance in.
Meanwhile, I'm delusional.
You're the most delusional. God, I don't know. I don't.
Well, if you had to pick one now.
If I had to pick a celebrity now that I would have a celebrity crush on, do yours and I'll have an answer.
I think my first one was, it was either Zac Efron or Ashley Tisdale, both from
High School Musical.
High School Musical.
All right. So we know what that show did to you. Mine, Carol Channing. All right, next.
Do you want to pull one this time?
Yes, I'll pull one. All right, let's see. My fingers are far too big for this. All right. The next one is, okay, here we go. Beer, wine, or cocktail?
Cocktail. I hate the taste of beer. I've never had one that I like. I think it tastes like pee.
You and Taryn are very similar on that.
Wine is like hit or miss for me. I like the sweeter ones. I don't like the ones that are drier. But I love a cute mixed drink. If it's adorable, even better. If it has edible glitter, oh, I'm all over it.
Oh, yeah? Nice. All right. For me, it's cocktail for sure. And I mean, you know what we have in this house. We have a giant hutch in the kitchen of our house. Taryn went through bartending school and loves to do mixology stuff. And we have so much booze in this house, which we will be taking advantage of tonight. All right. What else we got?
All right, we're moving up in the levels.
Okay.
Okay, I already know the answer to that one because it says, what is your creative outlet?
This fucking podcast.
Yes.
Next.
Have you ever had an out-of-body experience?
Yes, I have. This is a theatrical one. I was doing a production of Sweeney Todd back in, 2016, 17. And I was playing the Beetle. And I was on stage. And right before I was supposed to start singing, I completely forgot the lyrics. And I felt my spirit leave my body, and I was looking at myself, freaking the fuck out that I didn't know my lyrics. And the moment that song started, when I was supposed to start singing, it immediately started. I was like, oh, thank God. But I felt like my spirit had left my body, and I was looking at myself going, bitch, you know this lyric. What about you?
I actually never have. I've tried that whole astral projection type of thing because I like to do the witchy stuff. But because my mind runs 1,000 miles a minute, I cannot ever get focused enough to meditate, enough to do anything like that. So I've never had one, but hopefully in the future, if I keep practicing.
Let us know. All right, what do you got now?
What childish thing do you still enjoy doing?
What childish thing? Okay, I'm a Disney adult.
I know that.
And some people would say that's there was a thing going around for a while of people being like the childless millennials at Disney. We actually bought shirts that said childless millennial and we wore them to Disney. So going around Disney and being a complete fool is something childish I still do.
For me, so many.
Yeah. I
love cartoons.
You have definitely impacted my YouTube algorithm. Thank you for that.
Yes, every time I'm here, I put on like a Looney Tunes compilation or Bluey.
Don't hate it.
Whatever's on there. So yeah, I love cartoons, especially if the lore is really deep, like Steven Universe or Adventure Time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess it's not childish, but I do love playing video games.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, what do you got now?
Last one for the deeper category.
Okay.
Who was your role model growing up and why?
Who was my role model? I know this probably sounds like a cop-out, but it was probably my dad. He, was very much a self-starter, just kind of like me. Did his own thing, was very successful in his career, self-taught everything, and is a very tolerant person and is a very comforting person. He may not want to admit it, but he's probably one of the reasons why I am how I am in the polyamorous lifestyle, because he taught me, listen, be nice to everybody. You can love whoever you want. And yeah, and my dad was a sports person, so having a kid in theater and like the queer arts was probably a little bit different for him, but he still treated me absolutely fine. How about you?
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Yes.
I knew you were going to say that.
It was either David Bowie or Beverly Sills, one of my favorite opera singers.
Nice.
But I was introduced to David Bowie as a child. My mom made sure that she got me cultured early.
Sure.
And he was the blueprint for my life. I adore his music. I adore the movie Labyrinth. Is my favorite movie in the entire world. If you were to walk into my room is covered in pictures of him and quotes from him.
Mm-hmm.
He is the blueprint for modern gender expression in music. Like, everybody thinks that Harry Styles is paving the way. He's not.
Oh yeah.
He's not, because you can tell he's heavily inspired by artists like David Bowie,
of course,
and Prince and such. So
David
Bowie.
All right, what do you got next?
So now we're in the deeper category. This one says, when is it most important for you to hear "I love you"?
I think across the board in any relationship, I wouldn't say as often as possible, but not where it's like, okay, we get it, or you're like, I'm just trying to make up for doing something stupid. But yeah, it's important, obviously, to remind your partner as much as you can.
Honestly, for me, it's those random I love yous that do it for me, because it's like I'm thinking of you, and I just want to remind you that I love you, instead of saying, oh, well, we're doing this big like lovey activity, so I'm gonna say I love you.
Right.
Feels planned, feels rehearsed, but when it's spontaneous, like, we're just in each other's space and
just
we say
pop it
I
out of
love
nowhere.
you.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, nice.
Yeah.
All right, what do you
I
got?
have another one for you. Have you changed since being in this relationship, and in what way? I know we started this relationship at a very pivotal point in your life.
Yeah. Changed as in like with you and I? Not really. I mean, we've obviously grown together, so that's been nice. But like coming out and telling my family these things, and we've had some personal problems pop up in my life over the last few months. But I don't really think there's been too much change other than just nice forward momentum. How about you?
I changed so much.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound ushy-gushy, lovey-dovey. I thought that I was completely closed off to love. I thought that I was just not capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you completely
Oops.
changed my mind.
Well, fuck. I'm sorry. Welcome
I'm like,
to the world.
Oh, well, I guess I am good enough to be loved by somebody.
All right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more.
One more. What is something you can't be trusted with, or what is something you can't trust your partner with? It could be like a silly thing or like a serious thing.
What I can't be trusted with, I used to say cooking, but that's not really the case anymore. What I can't be trusted with probably is money, probably. I don't know what you couldn't be trusted with. Not, God, I don't know.
Memory. I don't remember anything
There you
ever.
are.
And I know that our conversation here is going to make people think differently. Like, oh, she remembers these dates. I remember the most specific things, but random things like what I ate yesterday, I don't remember. I will tell you a story 10 times and pretend like it's brand new every single time.
That happens. It happens. Well, now it's recorded, so you can just go back and listen to this later and know exactly what's going
I'm gonna
on.
be like, what did we do earlier?
Yeah, we did this podcast. All right. Well, thank you for being here and chatting with me.
Thank
and
you.
being open and honest and discussing things about your performance life and our life and the thing we're building. If folks want to follow you again, how can they do so? One more time.
Instagram at the Debbie Diablo.
If people say want to tip you, they want to send you money, how can they do that?
Cash App $ Debbie Diablo. No the.
All right. Got it. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
And obviously,
me.
anytime you have anything going on, any shows coming up that you want to talk about.
So I have my show with the Mary Strawberry at Aspirations coming up.
That is
And
March 16th, 17th, one of those dates.
That is March 16th.
Yep.
And then the 22nd, that is a Friday, March 22nd, I have Hot Rod's Babe Burlesque Show, which is completely leather and latex themed, and it is a fundraiser show to help improve my living situation by getting me a car. The people who live in Orlando know that it is impossible to get anywhere without a car.
Right.
All
right, so
yeah.
Go get tickets for that. Follow the Debbie Diablo online. Go see all of her shows, and you'll hear more from Debbie throughout the entirety of this podcast, I'm sure. We are going to do an episode at some point. I'm going to do an episode with Taryn. She'll be on the 10th, and I think we should do one with the three of us. I think that'd be an interesting.
That'd be really fun.
An interesting conversation for all of us together. But yeah, thank you for being here, hon.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, so thank you guys so much for listening to episode 6 of The Burly Nathan Show. Once again, you can follow me online on Instagram and TikTok at Burly Nathan, BURLY Nathan, NATHAN. You can follow me there. Subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to them, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can literally ask your Alexa at any time. Say, Alexa, play The Burly Nathan Show, and she will do it. I have to say it quietly because I've said it kind of loud in here before, and the Alexa in the living room will be like, oh yeah, absolutely, and I'll start playing the show. But you can do that. You can listen to the show everywhere. Subscribe, share with people. If you are a sponsor or even somebody who wants to be a guest, just DM me at Burly Nathan, and I would be happy to chat with you. All right, it has come time now for the bonus footage or bonus recording, whatever you want to call it, at the end of the show. Debbie Diablo is going to sing for you, so here we go.
I'm trying to hold my breath, let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream in me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand, will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all stars we steal from the night sky will never